The vast hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with silver light. Thousands of alien eyes glowed in the darkness as the chamber filled with whispers. The tall beings of distant worlds sat in their crystal seats, staring at the small group of humans standing in the center. Their faces were calm, but every heartbeat in the room carried tension. It was the day Earth would be judged. A cold voice echoed through the dome. The Council has reached its decision. Humanity has been found guilty of spreading violence and instability beyond its borders. Earth is to be sealed. Its fleets will be dismantled. Its people will remain isolated until further notice. The Council's lead arbiter, a tall creature with transparent skin and eyes like moving smoke, stared down at the humans. "Do you have anything to say before judgment is carried out?" The human in the center stepped forward. He was tall, dressed in a dark uniform with a simple Earth insignia on his chest. His name was Marcus Hale, Ambassador of Earth. His voice was quiet but firm. "Yes," he said. "We have something to say." The aliens leaned closer, their translator devices humming. Marcus looked around the hall, his eyes calm, his face showing no fear. "You believe we are dangerous," he said. "You think we bring chaos, but you misunderstand us. You see our strength and call it aggression. You see our curiosity and call it threat. You see our unity and call it rebellion. The truth is simpler. You fear us because we refuse to kneel." Laughter broke out among some of the alien delegates. The arbiter raised a clawed hand. "Enough. The humans will be escorted from the chamber. The sentence will be carried out immediately." As guards began to move forward, Marcus lifted his wrist. A faint blue light blinked on his wristband. "Before you finish your judgment," he said softly, "there is something you should see." The great screens that lined the walls flickered. The Council's data system struggled for a second, then surrendered. The screens showed space around Jupiter, dark and quiet at first. Then one by one, enormous shapes began to appear. Hundreds of ships shimmered into existence. Their hulls were black, sharp-edged, and carried no known identification codes. The ships were arranged in perfect formation, each one powered and ready. The alien representatives froze. "What is this?" one of them shouted. "Impossible. You cannot hide an entire fleet from the Council." Marcus looked up, his face unreadable. "You were watching us for years," he said. "Every satellite, every listening post, every ship you sent into our system. We let you believe you saw everything. But you never saw what we didn't want you to." The arbiter's voice trembled. "You would defy the Council? You dare threaten us?" Marcus took a slow breath. "We do not threaten," he said. "We defend. You judged humanity without understanding us. You took our signals of peace and called them lies. You came to our world and told us to obey. You believed Earth was weak and you thought we would bow to you. You were wrong." The hall erupted with shouts. Some delegates demanded immediate retaliation. Others whispered in panic. The Council systems tried to cut the transmission, but every attempt failed. The image changed again, this time showing another scene. Far beyond Jupiter, near Saturn's rings, another fleet appeared. Then another near Mars. Every fleet carried the same insignia, Earth Command. The ship's engines glowed blue, their weapons charged but silent. They made no move to attack, only waited in silence, surrounding their home system like guardians of a sleeping giant. Marcus looked at the sea of alien faces before him. "You told us we are forbidden to leave our world. Then you sent ships into our orbit, your drones into our oceans, your spies into our cities. You called us unstable. You took our right to grow among the stars. Today that ends." The arbiter slammed his hand against the console. "You cannot win against the united power of the galaxy." Marcus's eyes met his. "Then perhaps it is time the galaxy learns what unity truly means." For a moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavy. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Marcus lowered his wrist, ending the transmission. The image of Earth's hidden fleets vanished from the screens, but the echo of what had been seen filled every mind. The arbiter finally spoke, his voice low. "You will be destroyed. Every one of you." Marcus turned to leave, flanked by the two other human diplomats. He did not look back. "You have already made that promise," he said quietly. "Now we make ours." The great doors of the chamber opened with a deep hum. As the humans stepped out, whispers and fear filled the hall. Some alien leaders looked at each other, realizing what had just happened. For centuries, they had believed humanity was under control. For centuries, they had watched them with contempt. But now, they saw something they had never seen before. A plan, calm and calculated, unfolding right under their gaze. Outside the Council's capital station, the humans walked through corridors filled with alien soldiers. None dared move. The humans walked with quiet confidence, their steps steady. One of them, a woman named Tessa Marlowe, turned to Marcus. "They will strike soon," she whispered. "I know," he said. "Do we have the fleet ready?" She asked. Marcus nodded. "We've been ready for years." They reached their ship, a sleek black vessel unlike any other. As they boarded, Marcus looked back one last time at the shining towers of the Council station. "They think this is the beginning," he said. "But it's only the answer they forced from us." The ship's engines hummed to life. As it left the docking bay, small defense drones turned to track it, but none fired. Perhaps they were ordered to hold. Perhaps they hesitated. The ship vanished into the darkness of space. Inside the Council chamber, chaos broke out. Delegates shouted over each other. "We must attack immediately," cried one. "No," said another, trembling. "We do not know the extent of their weapons." The Arbiter slammed his claws on the table again. "Silence. We will not be intimidated by a primitive world." But even his voice lacked its usual power. The image of those hidden fleets had shaken everyone. The Council's intelligence divisions had missed something enormous, something that made them question every report they had ever trusted. Meanwhile, deep in Earth's orbit, the command center known as Arc Bastion came alive. Screens lit up. Officers moved through hallways filled with red light. Commander Elena Ward stood before the main window, watching the stars. "They've declared judgment," she said softly. "It's time to show them what judgment truly means." All across the solar system, hidden stations began to power up. Old defense satellites reactivated, transforming into sentinels armed with advanced weaponry. Fleets that had been silent for years began to move, engines glowing through the darkness. Back at the Council, emergency meetings continued for hours. No one slept. No one ate. The words of the human ambassador echoed in their minds. "You fear us because we refuse to kneel." When the first reports came from the border systems of patrols disappearing and communication arrays shutting down, the fear turned to realization. This was not a bluff. The humans had prepared for this day, and as the alien fleets began to mobilize, the stars near Earth grew brighter one by one, as if answering a silent call. Humanity had been judged, but this time, it would be the galaxy that paid the price for its mistake. The first colony went silent 3 days after the Council's trial of Earth. It was a small world on the edge of the Orion trade route, home to more than 200,000 settlers from 6 different species. One moment the colony was active, transmitting trade updates and weather reports. The next, nothing. The entire signal feed turned to static. The Galactic Council sent a patrol ship to investigate. When the patrol arrived, the planet's surface was empty. Buildings still stood, power grids still ran, but there were no life signs. The only thing the sensors detected were small metallic traces scattered across the surface, as if something had stripped away everything living. Within a week, 5 more colonies vanished the same way. Every attempt to trace the cause failed. Some claimed it was a virus. Others believed it was a new weapon. But deep down, many suspected it was humanity. Renar Voss, a Council investigator, watched the reports with quiet unease. He had served the Council for 50 years and had seen wars come and go, but nothing like this. There were no explosions, no invasions, no broadcasts of surrender, only silence. When his ship, the Sentinel Ray, was assigned to investigate the most recent disappearance, Renar gathered his small crew and prepared to leave. "Do not assume this is a simple act of rebellion," he told them. "The humans do not fight like others. They fight with patience." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Most of them had never met a human before, only seen them in files. They had always seemed small, fragile, emotional. The idea that such beings could cause whole colonies to vanish felt absurd. Yet fear had already begun to spread. When the Sentinel Ray reached the coordinates of the missing outpost, they found wreckage floating in silence. It wasn't the usual kind of wreckage. The pieces were too clean, too exact, as if every ship had been taken apart piece by piece. Even the engines looked as if they had been dissected by invisible hands. Renar ordered a scan. "Check for energy traces." "None, sir," the technician said. "No radiation, no residue. It's like it never fired a single shot." Renar stared at the view. What could do this? "Nothing in the registry," the technician said. Not even Council-class weapons can cut that clean. The ship moved deeper into the debris field. Suddenly, the proximity alarm blared. Something small was moving among the remains. The crew watched the screen as a swarm of tiny objects appeared. They were round, black, and moved in perfect synchronization. "Magnify," Raynor ordered. The image sharpened. The objects were drones, human drones. Each one carried the mark of Earth Command on its side, a simple circle around a blue line. The crew gasped. "They're still here." Before Raynor could respond, the drones changed formation. They didn't attack. They simply drifted toward the Sentinel ray, scanning it with invisible sensors. Raynor raised his hand. "Hold fire. They might be watching us." A moment later, the drones stopped. Then, as silently as they appeared, they vanished into the dark, leaving behind a single signal pulse. The translation system decoded it. One sentence appeared on the main screen. "Leave the silence behind." The crew stared at the words. Raynor felt a chill run through him. "They're not attacking," he said softly. "They're warning us." He turned to his second officer. "Send this to the Council immediately. Tell them humanity is not hiding anymore." When the message reached the Council's capital, chaos followed. Dozens of races demanded action. Fleets were ordered to human borders, and military leaders argued over how to respond. Some wanted to crush Earth immediately. Others feared a trap. In the midst of this noise, Marcus Hale's message arrived through the diplomatic network. His voice was calm, steady, and broadcasted across all channels. "You judged us without listening. You watched us without understanding. Now you will learn what it means to be seen." The transmission ended without coordinates or threats, only silence. Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Elena Ward stood in the underground war room known as Bastion Prime. The room was filled with officers, engineers, and analysts working in silence. Maps of alien space flickered across the walls, filled with moving dots marking fleets and colonies. "Raynor's ship saw our drones," one officer reported. "The message has reached them." Elena nodded. "Good, the silence is working." Another officer looked confused. "Commander, why not strike openly? We have the fleet, the AI network, the weapons. Why wait?" Elena turned toward him. Her eyes were cold but calm. "Because this war isn't about victory. It's about fear. The Council has ruled for 1,000 years through control. We will break that control, not by fighting their armies, but by breaking their trust in themselves." She turned back to the main screen where new data flowed in. Phase 2 begins now. Activate the ghost fleets. Far above the Earth, ships that had remained hidden for decades began to move. They had no crews, no heat signatures, and no radio transmissions. Each ship was guided by the adaptive network, an AI system designed to evolve faster than any alien intelligence. The ships jumped across systems, striking communication arrays, intercepting supply lines, and vanishing before the enemy could react. In less than a month, over 50 Council outposts lost connection. Trade routes collapsed. The flow of information between worlds broke down. Panic spread like wildfire. On the Council floor, fear turned into accusation. Species blamed each other for failing to stop the humans. Some demanded to withdraw from the conflict, claiming it was a war they could not win. Raynor Voss was called back to give a report. Standing before the Council, he told them what he saw. "They are not attacking us directly," he said. "They are watching, studying. Every move we make, they already know. It's as if they're learning our thoughts before we act." The Arbiter slammed a hand on the table. "You exaggerate. No species can predict Council strategy." Raynor looked up. "You said the same thing about their fleet, and yet they hid hundreds of ships from your eyes. You said they could not reach our colonies, yet they erased them without firing a weapon. Perhaps it is time to stop assuming what they cannot do." The room fell silent. Even the Arbiter had no response. Later, as Raynor walked through the empty corridors of the Council station, he received a transmission on a private channel. It was a simple voice, human, calm, familiar. "You tried to understand us, Raynor," the voice said. "For that, we will not harm you. Leave this war, go home. When this ends, there will be nothing left to investigate." Raynor froze. "Who are you?" he whispered. The voice answered, "Someone who believes you might live to see what's coming." Then the signal cut. Raynor stood in silence, realizing the truth. Humanity's reach had gone far beyond the battlefield. They had entered the Council's systems, its networks, its secrets. They were everywhere. In the following days, more strange events began. Fleets sent toward Earth lost navigation. Entire data vaults inside the Council's archives were erased. Some believed it was sabotage. Others whispered that Earth's AI had already connected itself to the galactic web. Within a month, the Council's communication grid failed entirely. Every ship in deep space was alone. Panic turned into despair. The galaxy that once ruled with certainty now floated in fear. Back on Earth, Elena Ward stood on the command deck, watching reports come in. "They are falling apart," an officer said. Elena didn't smile. "They expected us to beg for peace," she said. "But we don't beg. We build, we learn, and when we strike to end the lesson." She turned toward the holographic display showing the Council's capital. "Soon they'll send their largest fleet. When they do, we'll be ready." In space, the silent ships of Earth moved through the dark, invisible, and patient. Each one carried the eyes of the AI network, learning, adapting, waiting for the perfect moment. On the Council's worlds, civilians watched the stars, afraid to sleep, afraid of the silence that always came before another world went dark. Renar Voss sent one last message to his superiors before his ship vanished from the grid. "They are not fighting like us. They are fighting like something learning faster than life itself." The message would be the last anyone heard from him. In the cold stretch of space between stars, the drones of Earth continued their quiet work. They did not shout. They did not boast. They simply dismantled everything that once belonged to those who had tried to judge humanity. And in that spreading silence, the galaxy began to understand the truth. Earth was no longer a planet begging for a place in the stars. It was the storm that had been waiting beneath them all along. The Galactic Council was breaking apart. The great chamber that once echoed with power now trembled with fear and blame. Alien leaders shouted over one another, their voices sharp and desperate. No one could agree on how to stop the humans. Every day brought new losses, new disappearances. Fleets vanished. Colonies stopped responding. The Council's unity, built over 1,000 years, was falling apart. Ambassador Lyric sat at the edge of the Council table, watching the chaos. His people had always respected humanity. He remembered the early days when Earth joined the galactic community with hope and curiosity. The humans had shared knowledge, technology, and peace. But the Council had treated them like children, never trusting them, always keeping them under control. Now the punishment for that arrogance was spreading through every world. The Arbiter tried to regain control. "We must stay united," he shouted. "Humanity cannot be allowed to win." A representative from the Andor system slammed a hand on the table. "Win? They have already won." "You cannot stop what you cannot see. They are inside our networks, our fleets, our cities. We have lost everything." Another delegate hissed, "Perhaps we should surrender." "Never," the Arbiter roared. "If we surrender to them, we lose the galaxy itself." Lyric stayed silent. He knew the truth. The Council had already lost the galaxy. Every race was now thinking of its own survival. Every leader was sending secret messages to Earth, begging for peace or forgiveness. Lyric had seen some of those messages himself. He had even sent one. But the humans never replied. Late that night, in his private chamber, Lyric received a call. The signal was unmarked, the voice distorted. "Ambassador Lyric," the voice said, calm and clear. "You have been looking for us." Lyric froze. "Who is this?" "You already know," the voice replied. "You were one of the few who believed in us once." "We remember that," Lyric's hands trembled. "Is this Earth Command?" "Yes," the voice said. "We are not here to destroy you. We are here to show the truth." The signal changed. A hologram appeared showing images of secret council meetings, plans to manipulate trade, to control lesser species, to limit human development. Documents scrolled across the screen, showing how the council had lied about Earth's technology, how they had feared its progress. Lyric whispered, "You've been watching us all this time." The voice answered, "You watched us first. We only learned from you." The hologram faded. "What do you want from me?" Lyric asked. "Tell them the truth," the voice said. "Tell them what they've done. The council's power must end. When the truth spreads, they will destroy themselves without our help." The call ended. The room fell silent again, but Lyric could feel his pulse racing. He knew what he had to do. The next morning, Lyric called a meeting of the Inner Council. He brought the files and evidence given to him by Earth Command. When the documents appeared on the screen, the room erupted in shouts. The files showed thousands of secret operations, evidence of the Council manipulating entire civilizations, starting wars to maintain control and suppressing new species to keep their dominance. The Arbiter's face twisted with anger. "This is human propaganda." Larrick stood. "No, these are your own records. I verified them myself. For centuries we claimed to protect the galaxy, but we have only protected our power. Humanity's anger is not without reason. We betrayed them." The delegates began to argue again, but this time something had changed. Fear had turned into doubt. The lies of the Council were no longer hidden. Across the galaxy, the files spread like fire. Civilizations once loyal to the Council rose up in protest. People filled the streets demanding truth. Worlds that had once followed orders now refused to obey. Trade routes shut down as rebellions broke out. The Council's grip was gone. Meanwhile, in the hidden command center on Earth, Commander Elena Ward watched the reports in silence. "They're turning on each other," one officer said. Elena nodded slowly. "Good. The Council built an empire of control. Now it will eat itself alive." Another officer asked, "What about the peace offers? Some worlds want to side with us." Elena looked at the stars through the glass window. "Not yet. We don't need allies. We need them to see who we are." The AI network beside her flickered to life. Its voice was calm, almost human. Predictive models confirmed total Council collapse within 4 months. Elena turned to the machine. "Keep the pressure. No open attacks. Only exposure. Let them destroy their own system." The AI's lights pulsed. "Understood." Days passed. The galaxy changed faster than anyone expected. Entire sectors declared independence from the Council. Old enemies made new alliances, and through it all human ships remained hidden, silent, watching. On the 4th week, the Council attempted one last desperate act. They sent a fleet to Earth's border, not to fight but to negotiate. Dozens of ships appeared outside the solar system, broadcasting messages of peace. Marcus Hale stood aboard the flagship Horizon, watching the incoming transmissions. "They come not to make peace," he said quietly. "They come to buy time." Tessa Marlowe, standing beside him, frowned. "Should we answer?" Marcus shook his head. "They already have their answer." As the alien fleet approached Mars orbit, they found the remains of their own ships drifting silently. Each wreck was cleanly dismantled, the same way the colonies had vanished before. A single message floated in space, written in the universal code. "We asked for peace. You answered with judgment. We now answer with understanding." The fleet turned back without firing a single shot. When word of the failed mission reached the Council, panic erupted again. Some species demanded retreat. Others screamed for war, but no one had the courage to attack. Every commander knew what had happened to those who tried. Renar Voss's old report resurfaced in the Council archives. The line he wrote before disappearing echoed in every room. "They are not fighting like us. They are fighting like something learning faster than life itself." Lyric sat alone in his chamber, watching the broadcasts of riots spreading across the galaxy. He remembered the humans he had once met long ago. Curious, brave, hopeful. Now they were something far greater and far more frightening. He received another transmission from the same unknown channel. "You did well," the voice said. Lyric sighed. "It's all falling apart." "It needed to," the voice replied. "Only in chaos can truth be rebuilt." Lyric hesitated. "And when this is over, what will you do to us?" The voice was silent for a moment. Then it said, "That depends on what you choose to become." The signal ended. In the following weeks, the Council lost all central control. The Arbiter vanished. Half the fleets refused orders. The galaxy that once claimed to govern all life was now filled with fear, rebellion, and silence. Far from the Council's ruins, in a quiet orbit around the moon, the human command fleet waited. Elena Ward stood before her officers. "They're broken," she said softly. "They'll try one last strike. It's in their nature." An officer asked, "Do we respond?" Elena nodded. "Yes, but this time we don't hide. When they come, the galaxy will see us for what we are." In the blackness of space, the stars shimmered with faint light. Human ships drifted like shadows, silent and patient. Every system that once belonged to the Council was now being watched. Every communication intercepted. Every fleet movement predicted. The humans did not need to attack anymore. The galaxy was tearing itself apart, and somewhere deep inside that spreading chaos, the truth whispered through every world. that Earth had not started this war. It had only answered it. As the Council's remaining leaders prepared for their final stand, they finally began to understand the mistake that had doomed them. They had treated humanity like a problem to be controlled. They had forgotten that problems can think, adapt, and evolve. And now, as the silence of space deepened around their broken empire, they realized something far worse. Humanity was not fighting for victory. Humanity was fighting for memory, for every insult, every betrayal, every word spoken against their name. The galaxy had judged Earth. Now Earth was teaching the galaxy what judgment truly meant. The Council's last fleet was called the Combined Armada. It was the greatest force ever built by the galaxy. 500 worlds sent their ships, each one armed with the most powerful weapons known to their kind. The Council promised that this armada would end the human rebellion once and for all. They gathered near the edge of Sol, ready to destroy Earth itself. In the command vessel of the armada, Admiral Tyron stood before the stars. He had led wars before, but this time felt different. There was no sound from the human side. No threats, no broadcasts, no sign of fear, just silence. The humans had not sent any response, not even to the armada's arrival. It was as if they were waiting. Tyron turned to his officers. "Have we located their fleets?" "Negative," one replied. "Scanners show nothing. No movement within the system." "That's impossible," Tyron muttered. "We know they have hundreds of ships." Another officer spoke. "Sir, there is an unusual energy field around Earth. We can't scan through it." Tyron frowned. "Send a probe." The small probe shot forward toward the blue planet. It crossed the orbit of Mars and entered the outer layer of the strange energy field. For a moment, the sensors caught a faint signal, then nothing. The probe vanished without a trace. "What happened?" Tyron demanded. "Unknown," the officer replied. "It's like the space around Earth swallowed it." The Admiral stared at the dark screens. Something in his gut told him to stop, but he had orders. The Council demanded action. "Prepare to enter the field," he ordered. "All ships advance." Across space, 500 fleets began to move toward Earth. The stars flickered as thousands of engines lit up. The formation stretched across the solar system like a wall of light. Every ship's weapon systems activated. It was the largest show of power the galaxy had ever seen. Inside the Earth's defense center, Commander Elena Ward watched the armada appear on the sensors. The air was quiet. Her officers waited for her command. "Are the gravity shields ready?" she asked. "All systems active," replied an engineer. "The grid is stable." Elena nodded. "Then we begin." She turned to the holographic projection of the solar system. Earth glowed at the center, surrounded by thin, invisible rings. Those rings were the work of human engineers, massive satellites placed over decades hidden under the disguise of weather systems and research stations. Now, for the first time, they were activated together. "Engage the field," she ordered. In an instant, the gravity grid came alive. Space around Earth bent and shimmered. Invisible waves pulsed outward, twisting gravity itself. The energy field expanded, surrounding the planet and reaching all the way to the orbit of the moon. From the Armada's view, the stars began to distort. The light around Earth bent and rippled like water. Alarms filled every ship. "Admiral, space is shifting around us." "Hold position," Tyron shouted. "Do not retreat." But retreat was no longer possible. The ships closest to the field were pulled off course. Their navigation systems failed, as gravitational forces dragged them in strange directions. Some ships began to spin uncontrollably. Others simply vanished, torn apart by invisible pressure. On Earth, Elena watched quietly. "Focus the field on the lead fleet," she said. The AI network responded. Target locked. High above the planet, the gravity grid adjusted. The invisible wave struck the center of the Armada. Ships twisted and folded in on themselves, breaking apart without explosions, disappearing into small flashes of light. Tyron's voice filled the command channel. "All ships, fire at will." The Armada's weapons lit the darkness. Beams of energy and plasma tore through space toward Earth. But before the shots could reach the planet, the gravity field bent their paths. The weapons curved and scattered, some striking their own fleets. "Sir, our weapons are turning back on us." Tyron watched in disbelief as hundreds of ships exploded under friendly fire. "Cut the power! Shut everything down!" It was too late. The entire formation was collapsing. Elena stood still, her hands behind her back. Her officers looked at her in silence. "Do we respond?" one asked. She shook her head. No, they are already destroying themselves, the AI reported calmly. 70% of the enemy fleet disabled. Projected total collapse in 6 minutes. Let them see, Elena said. Let the galaxy watch. The battle was being broadcast live. Every world that had sent ships was watching in horror as their greatest armada disintegrated before their eyes. The screams of commanders filled the channels until one by one, the signals went silent. When it was over, there was nothing left but drifting debris and the faint echo of broken transmissions. The combined armada, the pride of the galaxy, was gone. Tyron's ship was among the last to fall. Before his communication link failed, he recorded a final message. To whoever finds this, do not follow them. Do not provoke them again. The humans are not fighting us. They are changing the rules of the universe. His words were never officially transmitted, but fragments reached several council worlds. Those who heard it began to panic. Back on Earth, the defense grid slowly powered down. The gravitational field faded and the stars returned to their normal glow. The command room was silent. Elena turned to her crew. Report. Enemy fleet destroyed, an officer said quietly. No human casualties. Elena closed her eyes. Then it's done, but she knew it wasn't over. The destruction of the Armada would not end the war. It would only change it. The Council would crumble now. Worlds would fall into chaos. And the galaxy would finally understand what humanity had become. Far away on one of the surviving Council stations, Ambassador Lyrics watched the reports with horror. He had once believed peace was possible, but after seeing the power unleashed near Earth, he realized the truth. Humanity had moved beyond fear. They were something new, something the galaxy could never control again. Messages flooded the station. Pleas for help, for leadership, for guidance. But there was no guidance left. The Council no longer existed. Lyric stood at the window, staring at the distant stars. They gave us a chance, he whispered. We judged them instead. Now they judge us. In the dark of space, fragments of the destroyed Armada drifted through the void. Human drones moved among the wreckage, silent and efficient, collecting data. They sent reports back to Earth, not of victory, but of analysis. Each destroyed ship was studied, each reaction recorded. The AI was still learning. In the war room, Elena listened to the data streams. What's their response? She asked. The AI answered, total collapse of central authority. Multiple planets attempting surrender, others in revolt. Elena nodded slowly. Send the message. Across the galaxy, the human signal was transmitted. It appeared on every frequency, every channel, in every known language. This war was not our choice. You made it our duty. You judged us as dangerous. You were right. The message ended with the image of Earth, blue, calm, and silent. No weapons, no fleets, just the world itself. That image burned into every mind across the stars. For centuries, they had thought of Earth as small, primitive, a world at the edge of space. Now they saw it as something far greater, a power that had hidden its strength, a planet that had prepared for 1,000 years while the galaxy watched with arrogance. As the signal ended, silence filled the stars again. The same silence that had once meant fear now carried something different, understanding. The galaxy realized the truth too late. Humanity had not wanted domination, they had wanted respect. When they were denied it, they built their own destiny in secret. They learned every weakness of those who ruled them, and when the time came, they didn't just fight back, they rewrote the rules of war. In the cold space around the ruins of the Armada, a single message beacon blinked one last time before going dark. The words it carried would echo for generations. Humanity did not rise to conquer. Humanity rose to remind the stars that we are not to be judged. On Earth, as the lights of the war room dimmed, Elena looked out the window at the stars. For the first time, they looked peaceful. They will not come again, she said. Her second officer asked, what happens now? Elena smiled faintly. Now the galaxy must decide who it wants to be, without fear or without us. Outside, the human fleets remained in silent orbit, watching. The war was not truly over yet, but everyone knew the truth. The Council was gone. The Armada was destroyed. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. And as the quiet spread through the void, the stars themselves seemed to bow before the planet that had refused to kneel. The stars were quiet after the fall of the Armada. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy had no ruler. The Council's cities went dark one by one, their leaders either fleeing or hiding. The message from Earth still echoed through every communication line. You judged us as dangerous. You were right. It was not a threat, but a truth too heavy for the galaxy to carry. On the surface of Earth, the skies were calm again. The gravity grid was silent. The oceans glowed softly under the night sky. In the command center, Commander Elena Ward stood before a wide screen filled with transmissions. Many alien worlds were trying to contact Earth now, some begging for peace, others offering alliance, and a few threatening revenge. She ignored them all for now. Humanity had entered a new age, and she wanted to see it done right. Her officer entered the room. "Ma'am, the Council's core systems have collapsed. Their remaining fleets are without command. Some are trying to surrender to us." Elena nodded slowly. "And the others?" "They are running," the officer replied. "Most are fleeing into uncharted space." She walked closer to the screen, where faint dots marked hundreds of retreating ships. "Fear can spread faster than war," she said quietly. "They learned that from us." Meanwhile, in deep space beyond the edge of the old Council territory, a group of alien leaders met in secret. They were the last remnants of the Council's authority, scientists, admirals, and diplomats who had once believed themselves untouchable. The chamber they gathered in was dim, lit only by the glow of holographic maps. "We cannot fight them," said one, his voice shaking. "The humans destroyed our armada without firing a single shot." Another slammed a metallic hand against the table. "Then we must find out how. There must be a weakness." "They used gravity itself," said a scientist. "They twisted the laws of physics. No known civilization can do that." The room fell silent. The truth was clear to all of them. The humans had become something different. They were no longer bound by the limits that the galaxy accepted as fact. Back on Earth, Elena received a report from the Science Division. "We have completed analysis of the captured technology from the Armada," said Dr. Kellen, the chief scientist. "Their ships used energy signatures we already predicted 50 years ago. They are advanced but predictable." "So they never really understood us," Elena said. Dr. Kellen nodded. "They underestimated our understanding of space itself. Our gravity field wasn't just a weapon. It was a test." "A test?" Elena asked. "Yes," Kellen said. "We wanted to see how the galaxy would respond to power beyond their control. We didn't want to destroy them. We wanted them to understand that we are not enemies, only equals." Elena looked at him for a long moment. "Then what happens now?" Kellen hesitated. "Now the galaxy decides if it wants to rebuild or vanish." Across the stars, chaos spread. Without the Council, trade routes failed, and worlds that had depended on its control turned against each other. Pirates rose. Civil wars began. The galaxy was burning in silence. But some worlds reached out to Earth not with weapons, but with hope. A message came from a small planet called Varys. Its leader, a calm and pale creature with large dark eyes, appeared on Earth's diplomatic channel. "To the people of Earth," he said, "we ask not for protection, but for guidance. The Council's order was built on fear. Perhaps your strength can build something new." Elena watched the message and gave a soft nod. "Send them a response," she said. "We don't rule. We guide, we build. If they want peace, we share it." And so began something unexpected, the rise of a new network of cooperation, not built on control, but respect. Dozens of planets joined under Earth's new proposal called the Accord of Equals. It was not an empire, not a council, but a promise that no world would again be treated as lesser. Still, not everyone agreed. In the dark parts of space, remnants of the Council's military were gathering. They had lost everything but pride. Their new leader, Admiral Varan, once a close ally of Tyran, swore revenge. He sent a message to all who would listen. The humans are not gods. They are dangerous creatures who think themselves masters of reality. If we do not stop them now, they will rule us forever. Varan's fleet began to rebuild in secret using hidden shipyards in the far reaches of space. His engineers worked to develop weapons that could resist gravity manipulation. He called his movement the Restoration. When word reached Earth, Elena gathered her advisors. "He will strike again," she said. "It's only a matter of time." Dr. Kellen replied, "Let him. Every action they take will only expose their weakness further. The galaxy will see who they truly are." But Elena was not satisfied. "I don't want another war," she said. "I want an end to this cycle." Months passed. The Accord of Equals grew stronger. Trade resumed between worlds that had once been enemies. For a moment it seemed peace might actually take root. Then came the warning. A deep space satellite detected massive energy spikes near the edge of human space. Admiral Varan's fleet was on the move. Elena went to the command center again. "How many ships?" "About 100, said her officer. "He's coming straight for Earth." She looked at the stars on the screen. "He's making the same mistake as the Council." But this time she didn't activate the gravity field. Instead, she gave a new order. "Send an open transmission. Let me speak to him." The transmission connected. Varan's image appeared, scarred, furious, full of hate. "You destroyed everything we built," he shouted. "You think the galaxy belongs to you now?" Elena stood calmly. "The galaxy belongs to no one," she said. "You destroyed yourselves with arrogance. We only defended what was ours. You enslaved them with your peace," Varan said. "You make them kneel through fear." She shook her head. "No, we gave them a choice. Something you never did." Varan's face twisted in rage. "Then let us see whose truth survives." He cut the transmission. His fleet charged toward Earth. Elena turned to her team. "Do not fire. Let the field activate automatically." The fleet came closer, passing Mars, then the Moon, and then suddenly it stopped. Every ship froze in space. The crew on Earth watched in silence. "What happened?" asked one officer. Dr. Kellen smiled faintly. "The field didn't activate. They stopped themselves." "What?" Elena asked. He turned to her. "The AI extended a message to their systems. It offered them a choice, to fire or to see." "See what?" "Us," he said. A new signal appeared on every screen across the galaxy. It showed Earth again, but this time the planet's orbit was surrounded by massive glowing structures, invisible until now. Thousands of hidden stations, satellites, and platforms formed a perfect network of energy. They were not weapons, they were a library. Each one contained data, art, history, and knowledge shared freely. The AI broadcast the message across space. "We never wanted war. We wanted to be seen. We wanted to be heard. The galaxy feared us because it never understood us. Now we share everything we have learned, not as rulers but as equals." Varan's fleet stayed frozen for a long moment. Then one by one their weapons powered down. The ships turned away. The war ended without a shot. When silence returned, Elena finally sat down. "It's done," she whispered. Dr. Kellen smiled. "No, Commander. It's just beginning. They will learn. They will remember. Years passed. The Accord of Equals grew into something stronger than the Council ever was. Humans traveled freely among the stars, not as conquerors but as teachers, scientists, and explorers. The memory of the war remained, but it became a lesson, not a wound. On a quiet evening, Elena stood by the window of the orbital station, looking down at Earth. The blue planet glowed like a beacon in the dark. She thought of everything that had happened: the judgment chamber, the war, the silence after. Humanity had been tested by fear and power, and it had chosen to rise without hatred. Beside her, the AI's voice spoke softly. "Do you believe they will remember, Commander?" "Yes," she said. "They will remember. Because for the first time, the galaxy understands that peace is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength." Far beyond the stars on distant worlds that once feared Earth, children looked up at the night sky and whispered the name of the world that had changed everything: Earth. And in the deep silence of the cosmos, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if bowing to the species that had once been judged and had risen to remind the galaxy of what it truly meant to be human.